Why this story matters. Stories like this remind us that improvement often comes through small, steady efforts. Quick summary: this story highlights recent developments related to good ideas, showing how constructive action can lead to meaningful results. A morning after Mardi Gras credit, Brown's crew supplied Flung plastic beads, coins, and other trinkets can seem like treasures in the heat of a Mardi Gras moment. But if you've ever seen the streets of New Orleans the morning after, you'll recognize only trash. That's why a coalition of government agencies and non-profits is creating seed beads, biodegradable party favors, and culturally smart alternatives like bags of jambalaya spices as a way of cutting back on this mountain of party waste. It's not just about removing this unnecessary burden of 1,188 tons per year from the landfill. It's a climate necessity, as countless plastic objects have been found time and time again to clog the stormwater system. Would you like to read more good news about good ideas, trash environment, flooding, recycling, and USA? It's been 20 years since Hurricane Katrina caused one of America's largest and most destructive weather-related disasters, and anything that impedes the city's drainage capacity is considered far more than an inconvenience. Grounds Crew, one of the non-profits working to reduce the environmental footprint of Mardi Gras, operates within a coalition organized by the city's tourism association called Recycle That. At first, the coalition would work to gather up all the Mardi Gras waste, whether drink cans or plastic beads, and either repackage them or recycle them. Founder of Grounds Crew Brett Davis realized that, unfortunately, the work was clearing the streets of toxic, cheap crap no one wanted and preparing it only to clutter the streets again. Since the 2024 Mardi Gras season, he's managed to sell 1 million of interesting and or environmentally sound throws. Davis, a New Orleans native, told the New York Times that when he was a kid, there was desperation to catch anything that came off the parade floats that ply the city center. After regulations came into effect that prevented any logo or identifiable image on objects thrown from the floats, the name of the game became the cheapest, least valuable stuff participants could afford. It led to a kind of bead fatigue, and now most of what's thrown from the floats is neither caught nor desired. David's opinion is that this could all change if what's thrown off the floats is actually interesting. So far, he has assembled a large team of volunteers of all age groups to put together tiny burlap sacks of jambalaya spice, native flower seed mix, or plant-based glitter. Cutting back on waste, new eBay for government helps counties and states auction off property. Reduce waste is not a totally new idea to throw things of value. In the carnival culture of Mardi Gras, some floats bring really interesting things like hand-painted coconuts, and the idea of scarcity of throwing something that people actually want, something rare and interesting, not only reduces the ecological footprint of the event, but brings back some of the animals it had when Davis was young. Volunteers from the Kiwanis Club of New Orleans assembled for a packets credit supplied to the Times by Grounds Crew. The Times report also covered the work of two University of Louisiana scientists who began experimenting with creating beads from algae. One of the scientists, Nahira Khartoum, used 3D printers to form the algae beads, which he filled with okra seeds. This not only helps the beads break down faster as the okra germinates, but encourages those who've caught them to pay attention to what it is they're actually holding. New Orleans news: birds sing anew after residents of New Orleans' 9th Ward restore 40-acre wetland to historic glory. Another LSU scientist, Kinglin Wu, approached the bead problem differently, using a byproduct of sugarcane production called bagasse. These sugarcane beads were thrown out for the first time this year by a longtime float organizer. The city used to measure the success of Mardi Gras based on the trash collected, said Kevin Ferguson, chief of staff for the New Orleans mayor. But there are a lot of reasons we have to make a change. Article goodheadlines.org curates positive and solution-focused stories from trusted sources around the world.